All right, get ready for a deep dive, because today we're all about Savate, and let me tell you, this is not your average kickboxing stuff. We're talking about a martial art so elegant it's almost like dancing, but with a past straight from the roughest streets of France.
It's true. Savate has this really cool mix. It's graceful, technical, even uses some ballet terms, believe it or not, but it comes from bare-knuckle brawling.
Yeah.
Even Bruce Lee was intrigued by it, and you'll see why soon.
We've got a ton of awesome material to go through today, old stories, articles on the moves, even some analysis of how Savate is used in modern fighting. We're going to break it all down so you can see how this thing went from street fights to, well, the global stage.
And one of the most fascinating parts of Savate's journey is that it developed in a very specific time and place, which really shaped its unique character. We need to take a trip back to 18th and 19th century France.
Set the scene for us. We're talking way before the UFC, no fancy gyms or anything.
Oh, no, absolutely. Think about the busy port of Marseille. Sailors, dock workers, tough guys looking to prove themselves. That's where Chausson, one type of Savate, was born. And it makes sense if you think about their world. They fought on ships, often not a lot of space, so those high acrobatic kicks weren't just for show. They were made for that.
Makes you think fighting on a moving ship probably helped them get good balance and precision, huh? Kind of like how a dancer uses a bar.
You got it. But here's where it gets really cool. Back then, French law was super strict about using your fists in a fight. Closed fist, that was basically a deadly weapon. You could get in huge trouble. So Chausson fighters adapted, came up with those super fast open hand strikes. Practical, legal, and still could knock you out.
I wonder if those sailors ever used their moves to settle arguments over, like who had to scrub the deck last.
Haha, I wouldn't be surprised. But while Chausson was developing by the docks, a different kind of savate was brewing in the streets of Paris.
Yeah, Parisian savate. Now, that one doesn't sound quite as refined, does it?
It had a different vibe, that's for sure. We're talking bare-knuckle, street-fighting savate, and it was known for being brutal. Low kicks, a lot aimed below the belt, often delivered with those heavy boots they wore. Not pretty, but in those days, it was about surviving. And just like in Marseille, the social situation played a huge role in how Savate evolved.
Right. Back then, you couldn't just hit up a gym if you wanted to learn how to fight. Your options were pretty limited, especially depending on your background.
Exactly. Chausson, with its focus on being agile and technical, it became popular with the upper classes. They even started using special shoes, which changed how they kicked. But Parisian savate, that stayed the fighting style of the working class, raw, practical, born out of necessity.
So we've got these two distinct branches, both effective in their own way, but still very much street fighting. When does savate start to become the art form it is today?
Well, that change didn't happen overnight. It took people like Michel Casseux, a man who was set on refining savate and sharing it with the world. But even he had to start with what he knew.
Which was?
Casseux had trained in both Chausson and Parisian savate, so he had a unique perspective. He saw that savate could be more than just a way to fight on the street. He saw it as a system with rules, with techniques you could teach and practice safely. And that's where it starts to get really interesting.
So Casseux, he sees savate could be something bigger, more structured. How do you start to make that happen?
Well, this Casseux, he was a real pioneer. In 1820, he did something pretty radical. Opened the first official savate gym in Paris, called it a salle, and this became the spot to learn savate in a controlled way, not just out on the streets.
That is huge. It's like he created the first savate school, taking it from like dark alleys to a proper training hall.
Exactly. But it wasn't just about having a building. He laid down rules, standardized the techniques, got rid of some of the more brutal stuff you saw in street savate, headbutts, groin strikes, that kind of thing. He knew for savate to really catch on, it needed a little polish, you know?
Totally. He was making it more appealing to folks who might have thought it was too rough, too down and dirty before. Smart move.
Exactly. And while Casseux was key, it was his student, Charles Lecour, who really becomes known as the father of modern savate.
Okay, so we're moving from the rule maker to, like, the true innovator. What made Lecour so groundbreaking?
Lecour, he was dedicated to Casseux's teachings, but he was also a visionary. He saw that while Savate's kicks were amazing, super effective, the hand-to-hand part, that needed work. And you know what sparked this realization? Seeing a totally different fighting style.
Ooh, I'm getting a good story here. Tell me more.
Imagine this. Lecour goes to an English boxing match. Probably wild by today's standards, bare knuckle and all, but back then it was a big deal. He's blown away by the boxers, their footwork, how fast their hands are, slipping punches, countering. He sees that Savate, focusing so much on open hand strikes, it's missing something crucial.
Like he's been playing checkers and suddenly realizes everyone else is playing chess.
Haha, perfect way to put it. And Lecour, being the innovator he was, he doesn't just watch, he learns. Goes to England, trains with experienced boxers, absorbs everything he can.
And this is where things get really interesting, right? He doesn't ditch Savate for boxing. He combines them.
You got it. Lecour takes those powerful Savate kicks and blends them with the refined hand techniques of English boxing. Creates what we now know as boxe française, a revolutionary fusion, changed Savate forever.
Boxe française, that's actually the official name for modern Savate, isn't it? I gotta admit, I didn't realize they were the same thing.
Yeah, lots of people don't, but that's the beauty of it. This mix of styles, grace, and power, it's what makes Savate so unique.
Like he took the best of both worlds, made a martial art that's both technically solid and super adaptable.
And to really see how dedicated Lecour was, you got to hear about his sparring match with this legendary English boxer, Owen Swift.
All right, I'm all ears. This sounds epic.
It's legendary. Lecour, totally confident in his new hybrid style, challenges Swift to a match. Now, it didn't go Lecour's way. Those kicks alone weren't enough. But that loss, it was a turning point for Savate.
A loss that sparked innovation. Kind of poetic when you think about it. What did Lecour learn from that?
He realized something crucial. You need protective gear if you're going to train hard and safely. So he brings boxing gloves into Savate. Seems like a small thing, but it changed everything. Allowed for more intense sparring, helped refine techniques, made everyone faster.
So that loss actually pushed Savate forward in a huge way. Not only safer, but now those fighters could really push their skills without worrying about getting busted up.
Exactly. And there was something else Lecour did. He set up the ranking system we see today, with colored gloves instead of belts. It's a Savate trademark. His way to standardize progress, show skill levels within the art.
You know, it's kind of wild how one event, even a loss, can change the game that much.
Absolutely. Lecour's story just shows you the power of watching, adapting, learning from everything, even the tough breaks.
And that whole innovative spirit, it's like built into Savate, wouldn't you say? Didn't stop with just Lecour, right?
Oh, not even close. With him leading the way and everyone who came after, Savate just kept growing. New moves, better strategies. People started recognizing it as this legitimate, crazy, effective martial art.
And then, boom, it hits the world stage. Didn't Savate make it to the Olympics?
Yep. 1924, Savate was a demo sport at the Paris Olympics. What a moment, showing the whole globe this blend of athleticism, technique, and history.
From brawls and back alleys to the Olympics. That's quite a story.
It truly is. But what's even more amazing is how Savate lives on. You can see its influence in martial arts today. Even, and this might surprise you, Bruce Lee's Jeet Kune Do.
Wait, for real? The Bruce Lee? I always thought it was all kung fu with him.
Bruce Lee, he built his foundation on kung fu, no doubt, but he was always learning, always believed in taking the best from different styles to make something truly powerful. And he saw how valuable Savate's kicking was, especially that focus on speed, accuracy, hitting the leg, something a lot of other striking arts kind of forget about.
So the be like water guy was taking notes from French kickboxing. Man, that blows my mind. Just shows innovation comes from the coolest places.
For sure. And being open-minded like that about martial arts, it's still relevant, especially in MMA today. You'll see tons of fighters using Savate kicks, controlling distance, messing up their opponent's rhythm, even getting knockouts with them.
It makes total sense. Savate kicks are fast, they hit hard, and you can use them in so many ways. Plus, those side kicks with the special shoes ouch looks like they could take someone's head off.
They pack a punch, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But it ain't just about raw power. Savate's about strategy, timing. Your whole body's a weapon. It's a beautiful art to watch. Takes physical and mental skill.
Sounds like it's always changing, always finding new ways to be effective.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so fascinating. From those rough beginnings in France to its impact on fighting today, Savate shows you human ingenuity, how we're always trying to better ourselves.
Well said. We've covered a ton today. The history, how Savate changed, and what it left behind. What a journey. This deep dive really made me appreciate this unique, dynamic martial art even more.
Couldn't agree more.
But before we wrap things up, we want to leave you with something to think about. If you had to make your own mixed martial art, what styles would you combine and why? What would you call it? Let us know. We'd love to hear your ideas. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep that innovative spirit alive.